Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for being with us today. I'd like to welcome each of you to another FranTastic InSights video segment whereby we introduce you to some very prominent personalities, all of whom are having a very positive impact on the ever-growing world of franchising. My name is David Craghead. I'm the Chief Franchise Expansion Officer for FranServe, and today I'll be your host for this week's FranTastic InSights. This is a podcast, and that we like to feature very select brands that we have a business relationship with. And with this particular brand, we've been with them for quite some time, or actually, I should say they've been in our portfolio for several years. And for the past 14 years, FranServe has been recognized as the world's largest franchise consulting and expansion organization. We have a very simple mission, and that is we change people's lives in a very positive way through franchise ownership. And we do that through a network of incredible franchise brands in 39 different industry categories. Our growth initiatives are supported by a growing portfolio of franchise consultants, all of whom are dedicated to helping their clients explore franchise opportunities which are deemed to be a perfect match to their individual search criteria. And today I'd like to introduce you to two gentlemen. First is Brandon Jacob. He's the VP of Franchise Development for the brand that's being featured today, which is PuroClean. And Brandon is being joined by, oh my goodness, Matt, let me get your title here. I'm just going to say Matt. Hi, Matt, Brandon.
That's good.
My
We've lost
goodness.
Brandon. We've lost Brandon, but he'll get back in here, I'm
Okay.
sure.
Well, that's good because I was botching up his name. I'm glad he didn't do that.
It's all
I,
good.
I'll admit, Brandon's last name is Mangual. He's going to be joining us here in a minute. And for those of you that may not be real familiar with PureClean, they are widely recognized as the paramedics of property damage. PureClean franchisees service a multi-billion-dollar recession-proof niche industry in one of the largest customer bases in the country, and that is the insurance property claims division or property claims customers. PureClean is an emergency service business providing services to insurance companies, residential and commercial property owners, requiring fast restoration services from a variety of types of damage, much of which is created by Mother Nature, like water damage, smoke, and fire cleanup. So, gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. And as I pass the microphone to you this morning, please, if you would, share your business model description and the very latest perspective on the PuroClean franchise brand. We'll start with you, Brandon.
Yeah, thank you for having us, David. We're really excited to be here and speaking with you folks. So our model is, like you mentioned, we're in the property restoration space. We are both in the commercial and the residential aspect of that business, right? So our model is we are non-brick and mortar. Our franchisees don't start with, having a huge space that they can, kind of start without having a traditional big warehouse or anything like that. So, small, relatively startup, but our model is we get going immediately right after the training. We have a customized Pure Launch program that allows owners to get commercial, residential business as quickly as possible, working with our team here.
Okay. And Matt, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about the business model, at the end of the day, there's three simple things that we end up doing in our business. We got to go out and market and create connections locally. We need to be in the business of helping those franchise owners go out and do that. We need to do an excellent job with the customers at the end of the day, because that's what it's all about. Relentless customer service is a tenant here at PureClean.
Relentless, huh? Okay.
Relentless customer service. That's correct. 199% equals zero.
Very
You will
good.
find, David, that throughout our walls here, even our owner, Mark Davis, he preaches relentless customer service. And that's kind of the culture that is passed down from admin to marketing to the franchisee that just started 6 months ago. That's everything.
I may be inclined to copy that. I like that phrase. It makes good sense to me. Well, let me ask you, gentlemen, as you enter the new year, are there any changes that you are predicting to take place with PureClean?
Yeah, I mean, changes wise, I would say that we are, we're in 44 states. We have a nice target to round that out to 50. And, in addition to that, we are leaning heavily into the commercial large loss space as well, doing a lot more involvement that way. We have a unique setup to where a lot of our executives on the operation side, they've been restoration franchisees for decades. So we have a lot of good franchise and industry experience. So, that allows us to, really provide a lot of support.
And could you describe for us and for the audience the prevailing differentiators that separate PuroClean from others in your space?
I can take care of that one for sure, at least to get started, and I'm sure Brandon can, chime in. I think the biggest opportunity that PuroClean has is to leverage the scale and capacity that we have, as Brandon mentions. We have a sister company known as Signal Restoration, which is really going to drive this commercial push where PuroClean will be going. And the margins in that business and the work that's there is unending. To that end, we're privately held. We are we're like a unicorn, frankly, David. As you know, private equity is prevailing out there. This does make us a lot more nimble. At the end of the day, Mark and Frank's responsibility is to the franchise owners, not a short-term investment play. What that also allows us to do is provide a lot of diversified services. We focus obviously where the high margins are. The insurance industry pays us for those jobs in the water and the mold and the fire and the biohazard. But our franchise owners could do pack outs. They can do carpet cleaning and carpet restoration. I mean, that's ultimately the industry that this was born from. They can get into specialized contents cleaning. They can get into hoarding situations, crime scene cleanups, duct cleaning. All of those services are prevailing underneath the PuroClean license without having to abide by acquiring an additional franchise, or Lord forbid, you have to give some business away. Obviously, these are things that people grow into over time. But what it does is it allows us to offer a much wider service to the customer, benefiting our franchise owners at the same time.
So, as I understand it, your new franchisees that come on board, they can adopt those different segments over time as they select to. Is that correct?
Yeah, you just don't come in and start doing everything. You got to pretty much come in and train. I mean, we deal with certified trained technicians. This is another reason we train them at our corporate headquarters. I don't think everybody does that. We've got a multi-million-dollar facility. Training is of the utmost importance, and it starts the day after you sign your franchise agreement. And our responsibility to that franchise owner starts that day to the day they exit the system.
Okay. You mentioned about potential expansion to all 50 states. Can you speak about the design metrics of your individual territories? How are they created?
Yeah, I'll let Matt dive a little bit deeper into that, but that also ties, David, to your previous question about what makes us different. Just to pause there for a second, because you're not going to find another franchise that has 500 units and is privately owned. But not only that, our owners, Frank Torrey and Mark Davis, they are literally walking the walk and talking the talk every single day. So they are in the shoes of our franchisees. And we have a saying at PuroClean, never say no. You come into our system, you never have to turn down business, from an airport job to your grandmother's basement, right? That's a powerful place to be in the marketplace, right? The other thing is we actually brought on a FranServe referral, and that candidate was in the insurance industry. And this was actually Matt's prospect here, so I'll let him touch on that. But it ties into your question about territory, because this candidate had nationwide contacts, and with our model, he was able to do business nationwide and not turn anything down. So, Matt, you want to
Yeah,
touch
I
on
think
that?
yeah, of course. I think PuroClean's territories take some time for folks to get a handle on, but once they do, it really makes sense. And certainly never saying no to a job. PuroClean offers protected territories. We don't put another PuroClean within that area. However, we are allowed to service and market outside of the territory. Again, if you have a relationship that you've built in your territory and they ask you to go do work somewhere else, You don't say no, you go do that work, whether it's in your territory, whether it's not in your territory. We had a gentleman in the Pacific Northwest heard about a loss in another state. He was able to refer that up to our sister company Signal. They took care of business. He didn't even have to participate. You got a very, very handsome check just for making that referral. This again allows for greater opportunity for our franchise owners, but it also works because one of the tenets in our culture, the third one, is active collaboration. And this is an important differentiator within our system because we bring in folks from other systems all the time. Our owners like to work with one another. They are actually collaborative and not competitive, and that's the way that it works best. Our owners will work with each other to produce jobs. Some of our owners don't do all of those services. Some of them like to stay in mitigation. Hey, I can get a reconstruction job. I don't do it, but hello, neighbor, I've already talked to you. We've talked about this. We're going to work together on this. Again, we get the job done by not saying no.
Very good. Many of our consultants, which we have right now, 722 licensed brokers throughout the U.S. and Canada, many of those brokers are going to be watching this podcast later this week. So they're going to ask a question that I'll go ahead and ask for them. You mentioned the territory expansion and your metrics and how you design your territories. Are there any really hot territories around the country that you would like to grow into that you may not be there just yet?
I would say, as of right now, markets like Montana, Wyoming, the North and South Dakota. I mean, those are kind of untapped markets, but in terms of hot markets all together, we still have a lot of expansion in markets like Florida and California, Texas as well. So not necessarily sold out anywhere.
We got, obviously it's a territory check, and I'm very thankful because
Right.
I'm the guy that manages those, and I appreciate that, and I try and send back maps when I can. But there are certainly some pockets of opportunity: San Fran Bay Area, Cincinnati, Boston. I've got a document at the on the FranServe portal, which will be updated probably this week or next week as we go through things that'll specifically show some of those additional markets: Virginia Beach, Grand Rapids, Michigan. But again, as Brendan says, we've got some spots. Fort Myers area of Florida is open. There's a couple of other pockets. So again, always send that territory check. You'll get the straight scoop from me. I'm sure most people would agree that I get maps back when I can.
Very good. Thank you. I appreciate your quick response to those inquiries. What effects, if any, is the current economy having on PuroClean and your new franchise owners?
Well, I can just tell you as a offering in general, the state of people aren't spending a lot discretionary, right? And so just from an offering standpoint, it doesn't matter what's happening in the economy, who's in office, what the color is outside. If a flood happens, if a fire happens, you don't shop for that. You need that. And that's where we really come into play is no matter what industry that you ultimately come from, we just, we're about to award a group of Marriott franchisees, for example, which is very far off from our typical, but the reasons why is because they have contacts in the hospitality space and you can't predict these things. It's very stable and obviously needs-based in that way. So things like happening in Seattle right now, right, where there's flooding, and that's a real call to action and urgency driven for our franchisees. That's a perfect situation where we can come in, provide a relentless customer service, get those relationships, and that's how we win business.
Okay.
The economy doesn't really affect our business. In fact, when the economy goes down, as we all know, everybody's looking for ways to set their own course. You hear people talking about, I don't want to be Amazoned. I don't want to be AI'd. I don't want to be automated. All of those things favor PuroClean. We're embracing AI on a number of different fronts right now, but it's not going to replace the basic work that we do. And frankly, this year was a reasonably flat, if not off off a little year. We are not driven by storms and catastrophes. That's not what drives our business. 80+% is probably sinks, toilets, dishwashers, dryer vents, mold, the normal, common, everyday occurrences. But when these events do occur, this open model that PuroClean has allows our franchise owners to capitalize on that. We've got owners from New Jersey that are still working in Florida on a job with our sister company a year after the storms occurred down there. Wow. So again, that's the power, that's the scale for those that can see it beyond just, oh, here's my dot on the map. That's not just it, that's the start. Where it goes from there is up to the owner.
Very good. Now, as you grow your brand across the country, do you encounter any regional influences that are unique to a particular region or state or portion of the country that are affecting your model either in any way?
I wouldn't say affecting, but again, as if anything, as weather patterns and hurricanes and things come up that way, that's a perfect situation for franchisees to capture market share. We also have a saying at PuroClean where we want operational excellence. We don't want to get to 2,500 locations and everyone's on top of each other. We want really strong, healthy operations. And by doing that, you also have the good balance of coverage. And to Matt's point earlier, one of our pillars is active collaboration. And when you truly live by that, not just a buzzword, that's when you could really achieve great volumes, but also do it in a healthy way.
Very good. Our job here at FranServe is to provide human resources to the brands that we represent. So in that instance, how would you describe the perfect franchise applicant for PuroClean?
Well, I think that we keep mentioning this third pillar of our culture. I think it's important. We say the whole thing here, servant leadership, number one. People that understand putting other people's needs before theirs are folks that are going to thrive in our business. 1 in 8 of our owners is a veteran. There's no better example, 25% off for veterans on our franchise. The next one's extreme ownership. We want people that are willing to grind. You just don't buy a franchise and then everything goes happy-go-lucky. You got to be willing to work and provide that relentless customer service, provide that extreme ownership that's required by the insurance companies for us to get paid, but also for the relationship that we need to develop and build with the customer. And then that active collaboration is that third one, someone that understands that, someone that sees that as a benefit, someone that sees being a part of a larger whole and contributing to it. Lots and lots of the standard things that you want to see in franchise candidates. But I do think that if your folks are looking out there through resumes and you type in servant leader, you got a whole plethora of potential candidates for PuroClean. I don't know what else Brandon might add to that.
Yeah, I think to your point, Matt, veterans, 15% of our system is veterans, and at a brand of our scale, that is quite an impressive thing, and we want to keep growing with that volume, right? So we feel that they make great franchisees all together, but as an overall profile, it comes from hospitality, it comes from corporate leadership, it comes from all these different things. We want mayors in the community, right? If you come from any kind of sales, B2B, you should definitely be looking at this, because at the end of the day, this is a sales relationship driven model. And if you're not that person, that's okay. I have top 10% owners that are not sales guys. They're engineers, in fact, right? But you hire to that and you be the back office guy, right? So we want folks to build what we call a fully managed business at the end of the day. And we want folks that want that. And by fully managed, we mean you're working on it, not in it. And that's when we find real growth happens, not only on the spreadsheet, but also that fulfills them on, hey, why did I get into this thing? Lifestyle, financials, and all that comes with that. So anyone that is community driven, and wants to respond and also be the hero. And there's something to say too about saving the day, right? When there's a real emergency that happens and you're the one saving it, there's a sense of pride with that. So
Very good.
Just had a
I've
great
noticed,
thought about what we're looking for in a candidate, because I know it's super, super important. I love to use the term active and aware. We are not a semi-absentee business. We are not a passive opportunity. Our owners get involved in the business, and that's what they like to do. That's what they're looking to do. Now, when you look at our owners that get to the point of a fully managed business, some others might term that semi-absentee or passive. But at the end of the day, I think I only got one of them out at the beginning, but we market, we produce, and we administrate. And an owner comes in usually, typically, and will perform all of those services. They'll get good at each of them. Then they're going to build out from there. Do they like to market? Go do that. If not, be on the production truck, vice versa. The idea is to get people managing all those roles. An average PuroClean business, $953,000 in annual revenue. It's probably somewhere between 7 to 9 employees. And those will be divided between that marketing, between that production, and between that admin. At the end of the day, as Brandon was saying, I like to say we're a marketing and equipment rental business. We need to get out, we need to market, we need to create awareness locally, and then we just need to rent the equipment to the insurance companies, which they're going to pay us to do, but we got to do it a certain way. And that's, again, why training is so super important. But anyway, active and aware is what we're looking for, David.
thank you. I really appreciate the very thorough answers you guys are giving to my questions today. That helps me a lot. And with your answers today, I've noticed in several of your comments that there is a blend between residential and commercial customers in the PuroClean business model. When a new franchisee opens their new PuroClean franchise, how do they create that blend? Is it leaning more to commercial at first or residential? How does that structure develop?
Basically, what they have to do is they have to qualify. They can go out and get a commercial job their first day if they market to it. This also brings up the other advantage that PuroClean has, which we tout national accounts, but they don't kick in usually until you've proven yourself worthy to be able to perform at the levels. So we've had some folks that have come in and probably done commercial work within the first 60 to 90 days. And then others are going to probably be more in that residential side. But within our first level of national accounts, which is typically available for candidates in their first 6 to 12 months, is when they really would start getting into that. The commercial jobs show up right then and there.
Yeah.
Thank you. What is the most typical ramp up time for one of your new franchisees from the date they sign the franchise agreement to the ribbon cutting ceremony?
As Brandon was saying earlier, it's we've got a reasonably quick time frame. We don't have anything to deal with in terms of real estate. But there is a pre-training program once you sign your franchise agreement. You got to order your vehicle, you got to complete. There's a whole bunch of stuff that you got to do, and that can take 6 to 8 weeks. We do 5 trainings, 6 trainings, new owner trainings a year, because our academy, we're not just doing new training. We're doing the fire. We're doing the commercial. We've really pushed on commercial, lots of commercial training going on. Once they've gotten the opportunity to schedule their training, they go for 3 weeks at the PuroClean Academy, 3 full weeks of training at the academy. And then after that's done, then they're going to go work for a week in an owner's business. We call it the PuroClean mentor program. So we have implemented this recently, and we're seeing great results for the new franchise owners that are coming out of that program, as well as the Puro Launch program. So again, everything is keyed off of training. Right now, people could sign today, and they could be, I signed somebody on Friday, and they're going to be in our March training. And then they'll be open for business. They'll be open for business April.
So it sounds like there's a program of continuing education for your franchisees after their initial training has been completed, correct? Is that a correct assumption?
100%. Business coach from day one. We call them the regional directors. And guess what? Those folks actively collaborate. So not only you get one regional director, if you need something that one of them knows another one's better at, guess what? You're going to go work with Gabriel, because Gabriel is the expert on the fire side, or the contents cleaning, or the Xactimate side, or the carrier side, or the whatever it may be.
Very good. Now, gentlemen, I've pretty much come to the end of my questions, and I want to thank you again for being so thorough with your answers. That helps a lot, and I know our viewing audience appreciates that as well. If there is one takeaway from this interview today that I may not have addressed, what would you like our viewers to know about the PuroClean business model?
Yeah, David, thanks. You've done a great job. I would just say last thing is we are a franchise or for franchisees, right? And what I mean by that is every decision we make is will this benefit the franchisee? Bottom line, right? And that comes from straight from our ownership to the executive level to the direct, all the way down, right? We are not a restoration company. We are a franchise company. And that is our number one North Star here. We do the FBR surveys every year. Last year, survey was 86% of our franchisees would recommend this to others. And that's the ultimate flattery, compliment. And we want to continue to build off that. We are a ever evolving machine in the best way. And again, it's franchising is a living, breathing organism. We live and breathe this stuff. And again, we are a franchisor for franchisees.
Boots on the ground level, I would just say keep PuroClean in your mind. I think a lot of times PuroClean gets overlooked. And PuroClean, I can tell you, spends a tremendous amount of money promoting our brand. If there's an opportunity to have PuroClean in the mix, I would encourage everyone to put it in there because a lot of people find us. Actually, FranServe was the best producing consultant group for myself personally last year. Shout out to Jason Blau, Dan Lipschultz, and all the other folks that know PuroClean. And I'll take care of the candidates. This is one of the things that I pride myself on, quick territory checks, accurate. Not many folks know that I was a consultant with another group back in the day, but I understand what you folks want from folks in my seat, and I plan to deliver if you just give me the opportunity.
Well, thank you very much. And for the viewing audience, I want you to know that at FranServe, we have several hundred franchise brands in our portfolio, but we only feature on our podcast a very select few. And those select few are those that we consider to be the very best of the best in their industry, the best in franchising. And PuroClean definitely fits that definition. And they have for many, many years. They've been in our portfolio. So for the viewing audience, if you're looking for a franchise to really spend some time with and to really investigate, I would recommend you begin with PuroClean. I really would. If I was in the market for a franchise, which I'm not because I'm too old, but if I was, I think I would knock on PuroClean's door as one of the very first ones I would speak to. So, gentlemen, I want to thank you for the privilege of your time. This entire interview will be posted on the FranServe support site. It'll also be archived in the FranServe library. And in addition to that, it'll be uploaded to Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So with that, Brandon and Matt, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate your contribution to this recording. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, David. Appreciate it.
See ya.
See you, guys.
See you guys.